I really love Christmas movies, but the reason I really love them so much is that it opens the doors to the possibility. Let's talk today about how you can be more open to the possibility of magic happening in your life. Let's go get that nugget. Welcome, ladies, to the Life Mastery for Women podcast. I'm Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind, your host. This is where we go to learn to master our life one nugget at a time. Hello, ladies. It's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where we're going to continue on with our Christmas movie theme. We're going to be talking about opening the possibility to magic happening in your life. And if you're not open to the possibility of magic happening in your life, then it is my intention that today's episode, I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. I love Christmas movies. Now, I don't love all Christmas movies. I don't like the really silly ones like Elf. And I think there's a couple like the evil ones, but I like the ones that really portray the magic in Christmas. And it's like the magic versus it's just Christmas magic, that it's magic. And it's about possibility, from the Grinch to the possibility of change and transformation, and the idea of him going from hating the Who's to loving the Who's, but only had to shift a little bit inside of himself, a little perspective, to Ebenezer Scrooge, where hates everybody and everything, and especially Christmas, and stop asking me for my money, to shifting his whole entire life around to a place of giving and sharing and gratitude. And today we're going to talk about the Polar Express, that I love the idea of things being magical, the way that things happen and friendships develop, and he can never fall off the train. And of course, my favorite scene is when they're going across the lake that's frozen and all the caribou end up in front of them, and the train has to come to a complete stop. And the conductor, who is played by Tom Hanks, goes out to the front of the train, and he's standing. There's thousands and thousands of caribou across the lake, stopping the train from moving. And he just stands there and goes, "Caribou." Actually, it wasn't him that said it. It was, actually it was the conductor, but it wasn't Tom Hanks. But anyway, and then the way they communicate. Now, of course, does that ever happen? Do you ever find that you have thousands of caribou standing in your way? Well, sometimes in life, it does feel like you have thousands of caribou standing in your way. So let's talk about how we're going to start moving towards opening up to the possibility of things changing and shifting in your life, and where your life starts to feel magical. We have talked about several different times about how we can make our life a little bit more magical by changing and managing our own vibration. That, my friends, is the key. That is the baseline of all of the spiritual work that we do. When you are down in survival mode and the lower vibrational states, you are very... and I mean this in let me get it through all the way, but you are very dense, but I don't mean dumb. I mean dense in this way of you're in the energy of like physical matter. You are very in dense, slow moving energy. So things don't change. Opportunities don't come up. Synchronicities don't happen. And possibilities are zero in your life. When we are down in those lower frequency states, nothing magical is happening. You are in a very physical state. You're very in your human form and in the space of manipulating the environment. So in your physical form, your mind is in your physical form. Of course, you're in your body. And the only way that you think to solve the problem is by manipulating the environment, by moving the environment around, trying to get people to do what you want them to do. Well, in the spiritual practice, when we begin our practice in a way that starts to lift up our energy up into the upper chakras, into the upper part of the body, we begin to elevate in our thinking. So instead of being down in survival mode where we are manipulating the environment around us, we move up into a higher frequency state, a higher vibrational state, a higher energy state, and we open the doors to flow. And we open the doors to possibility. This is when miracles happen. This here is when things start to become more magical in your life. Here's an example. This isn't my favorite example, but I'm sure you have experienced something like this where there is a big traumatic event that happens. Whether it's a big car accident, somebody dies, maybe it's a young child that dies, and the whole community comes forward and comes to the aid of that family. Or something even greater like 9/11, or something like, a school shooting, the marathon bombing, any of these horrific events that happen. And as you get older, you experience more of them, right? If you're longer on the planet, they happen often, and you have experienced several of them, as I have. But what I see happen is the community lights up. And what ends up going on is there is this miraculous event that takes place where they come together to aid in the victims of any horrific event. Now, when that happens, a horrific event happens, the lower vibrational state, and then all of a sudden this traumatic event happens, and all these people come together. But in that space, they're raising their vibration. They're coming to the aid of somebody else. They are sharing their resources and giving to someone else who is in need. And that is a very high frequency state. That place, coming to a place of not pity, not feeling sorry for somebody, but coming to say, I have these resources and I want to share them with you, whether it's your time, your money, your energy, your house, your clothes, your car, whatever it is that you're sharing. And you're doing this basically out of the goodness of your heart. But from that space right there, the goodness of your heart, that space is a very high frequency vibration. And in that space is where miracles happen. But when we're down low in the survival spaces, they can't happen. Magic doesn't happen down there. That is not the place that magic happens. So what we're going to talk about today is ways that we can start to improve our frequency and improve our vibrational state quickly so we can start to see shifts happen. When we begin this practice, this is where we start to wake up. We start to become more present in our lives and in our bodies and in our spiritual practice. And as that happens, things start to show up in our life that, 2 days ago you didn't think were possible. The biggest obstacle, though, is, and we'll get to that too, is overcoming the physical aspects of our life. And I'm going to talk about that after I tell you about how we're going to get there. So let's first talk about how we can begin to raise our vibration. Now, I don't know if I told you in the podcast, but I'm really diving deep into these different types of like business psychology, and I'm not going to talk about it here, but there's different variations. I'm sure in your day you have taken different personality tests, from Myers-Briggs to Enneagram to your horoscope to whatever, all these different type tests you can have. I would highly, highly recommend that you do that. Go to Google, type in personality, different personality types, tests, and go take those tests. The more you can learn about yourself, the more freeing it is. Like here's an example, and this is just a little tiny derail here, but if you're familiar with Enneagram, and that's ENNA EAGRAM, Enneagram. And it's a type test. And I really love it because one thing that it tells, very, 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 very simple test. It's very easy, very simple. And but one thing I love about it is it tells me, like, when I'm healthy, I'm an 8, which is the challenger. And that's kind of the coach part of me, the teacher part of me, challenging the person in front of me. I'm going to challenge you at your beliefs, your actions, and kind of hold you accountable, so to speak, though that's not what I do in my coaching, but I kind of point things out to help you change and shift your thinking. Now, there's a healthy version, and then there's the unhealthy version. The normal state is an 8. My unhealthy version, like if I'm really stressed out, I'm a 5, which is the investigator. And the investigator is kind of interesting because it like goes right into solitude, isolates themselves, dives deep into learning, reading, anything and everything you can get your hands on. And that is totally me. When I enter a stressful environment, a stressful situation, whatever I'm doing, I totally will shut down the world and go dive into my library, the bedroom, the car, wherever. And I'm grabbing books, I'm learning, I'm taking courses, I'm reading articles, I'm watching YouTube videos. And this is all like in the personal development field. I am not watching kitten and puppy videos, right? It is learning, okay? And that is what makes me the coach that I am today, is I'm always in some rabbit hole somewhere learning something. Now that's the stressed out version of me. Now the really healthy version of me and the real positive balanced version of me, I'm a, did I say that it was a 2? Hopefully I said that right. When I'm in a stressed version, I'm a 5, and that's the investigator. When I'm in the really super balanced, I'm a 2, which is the helper. That means I am giving and sharing and sharing my resources with you. And that is totally true. And on any normal given day, I'm an 8. So what that does is it opens the door for me to see that imprint that I am and to go, okay, any given moment, I'm like, okay, where am I at right now? Oh, I'm acting like a 2. You know, as we get closer to Christmas, I become a little bit happier and excited, and the magic of Christmas and shopping, decorating, Christmas music. And it's really fun for me. It's really exciting for me. And so I'm mostly a 2. And then I'm like, oh, if I'm isolating myself, I'm a 5. And I'm like, okay, is this what I really want to be doing? But anyway, I can shift these a little bit. Whenever, wherever I'm at, if I'm stressed out or if I'm balanced, I now recognize that state versus somebody coming in and telling me, hey, you know what you need to do? That strategy, however you follow that sentence, whatever that strategy is, might not work for me. And I think the more you get to know yourself in these different personality tests, the more you understand your own behavior. So when I say different strategies of how you can do things, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's right for you. This is a strategy that works for me based on my type. So I'm going to now, my number 1 of how to start improving your vibration, to start opening the door to possibility, is the first is dare to dream. Well, in the wealth dynamics personality type, I'm a creator. And in that energy, I have ideas. I'm always creating things. I'm always doing things. I'm like trying to organize stuff and make things more efficient. That's all part of that personality. Well, someone like Amy, who is a tempo, which you don't have to take notes on any of this. Maybe one day I'll get into this a little bit more detail, but she does not dream very well. So this can be a problem. So that's why I think it's really important that you get to know yourself a little bit better. Just like I've said in a couple other podcasts, is the example of, some coach who's calling forward people in their marketing and saying, calling all animals, I'm going to show you how to climb this tree and get the best fruit. Well, that person, let's say that coach who's calling those people forward, actually means I want to call all monkeys, because in my program, I'm going to teach you how to climb this tree and get this fruit. Well, if you're calling all animals and I show up, I'm a fish, I can't climb a tree. So because I can't do her technique or her strategy doesn't work for me, I just assume I'm dumb. It doesn't work for me. And then in my vibration, I sink lower and lower. Now I know it feels like I'm a little bit all over the place, but I think it's really important for you to understand more about you. And I think that once you do that, then you're going to be able to easily make decisions for yourself based on what you know about yourself, but also begin to build your spiritual practice in a way that fits your personality. Because I'd love to visualize. So I might tell a whole audience, hey, to build your meditation practice, you need to visualize. And then there's always hands that shoot up right there and go, oh yeah, I can't visualize. And I go, yeah, you can. Everybody can. But it might be different for them. It might be different. So I'm not on stage going, well, yeah, you just picture it in your head. They might not be able to actually do that because it might not be part of their energy work or their DNA, if you will. But they might sense it differently. They might be able to go into their feelings and go, okay, I just don't want to be depressed anymore. And I say, okay, if you don't want to be depressed, then what do you want to be? What's on the other side of that? And they can go into that space. So that's what I do with Amy, where she might not be able to visualize in pictures like I can, but she can sense. I'm more intuitive. She's more sensing. Now we're talking about the Myers-Briggs. I'm an INFJ. She is an ES. INFJ. And so she senses, so she can feel things. Well, instead of imagining and picturing and visualizing, we're going to sense. The only reason I'm telling you all of this prior to the steps here is allowing yourself to dream. I get a lot of looks from an audience when I say that because they just think they can't do it. They're not creative. They can't visualize. But in your essence, when at the end of the day, you're trying to raise your vibration, it is about tuning in and tapping into your own energy field and going, how do I feel right now? And if you can't name those emotional states, can you give it a number? On a scale from 1 to 10, how are you feeling? If you're a 5, then the next question is, what do I have to do? Or what do I have to think? Or what do I have to believe to get to be a 6? And then you can start playing with that. The biggest point I'm trying to make is where you are right now in your life, on that scale, on that emotional scale, on that vibrational scale, is not permanent. It is not permanent. But I will tell you this. The only way to change the exterior is to change the interior. Go inward and change that. Change your beliefs, change your thoughts, change your words, change your intentions. Become like this investigator and going inward and looking at the clues that are showing up all around you, going, okay, here's my money, here's my career, here's my relationships, here's my health. And then you go inward and go, okay, what are my thoughts about those things? What do I feel about my health and my career and my relationships? If I feel terrible about them, if I'm going around saying that they suck, well then right there is your big clue that says you're manifesting backwards. You're manifesting something even on accident, then you're seeing it and going, well, this sucks. And then you're focusing on how much it sucks versus changing it, going, I want to change this. I want to move towards, I'm more open to my relationship or a relationship healing. I'm open, I'm allowing, I'm willing. Like all of these words will help you to create the life that you're wanting to experience. But the universe can only reflect back to you what you're saying and what the words are and how you're doing things and your actions and your beliefs. It's a mirror. The outward expression of your life is a mirror image of your internal state at any given moment. So then you go, the next question should be, well, how do I change the external? That's not it. The next question should be, how do I change my internal state then, Jen, when I'm living in the middle of this crap? And I go, we have to start to ignore it. We have to start to ignore it. And that's the next part. The next part, after Dare to Dream, is to start feeding gratitude into your daily life. The food that's on your plate, the warm house, the comfortable bed, the shoes on your feet, the warm water for a shower, the car you're driving, the job you have, even if you hate the job. Now, sometimes when people get fired, I'm like, that's good for them because hopefully they're going to align with something better. Now, it doesn't always happen, but if you hate your job, but at least be grateful that you have a paycheck, even if it's not as much as you want, or even if you hate the coworkers, because those things can change. But if you don't have a job, if you're living on the street, then that's really tough. But there's still things to be grateful for. We have to dig for them sometimes, but beginning a gratitude practice is being grateful for the things that are around you. Whether that is just, I have headphones to listen to this podcast, or the sun is shining today, or wow, look at a beautiful bird, or look at the snow is coming down and it looks like a snow globe and it's so beautiful. There's always something. And that if you're deep down into the survival energy state, it is really challenging. I get it. But that's really, really going to help lift your spirits. I guarantee it. And right now, it is about shifting quickly. And when we do that, it is all about managing your energy. And I'm telling you, when you manage your energy and you can do that consistently, your life is going to shift drastically in the direction you're going in the direction that you want. So it is about kind of knowing what you want, because you can look around you and you know what you don't want. You see the things that you hate. You see the things that you dislike. It is now about going, okay, if this is what I don't like, what actually do I want right now? Like I look around my house and I'm like, man, there's stuff everywhere. And that really bothers me. And I really hate that. Okay, so stop and look and go, what do I want? Well, I want it to be calm and peaceful and spacious and organized. And then now find is there someplace? Yes, my bookshelves are organized. My office is spacious. right? And we begin to shift our energy in looking at something different. And I'm going to ignore this over here. Now I can fix that over there. I can organize that. But the point is to look at something, find something great about it, beginning that gratitude practice. Now, the next thing, and I love this one so much because it creates such an energy feel and an energy shift for me, that I remember I was taking a course. This was a few months ago. This was like probably June or July. And I was taking a course, and I was on this coaching call with this person, and she goes, she gave me her opinion about something, and I immediately shot her idea down. And I'm like, not in a big holy moly way, but I'm just like, yeah, but then I wouldn't be able to blah, blah, blah. I forget I remember the story, but it's irrelevant at this point. But then she goes, I wonder. And that's all she had to say. And I don't remember what else she said after that. And I'm like, you know what? She's right. I need to be curious. I wonder. Because then in that moment, this epiphany that hit me was like, my opinion about something in my life becomes the truth. So when I say, yeah, but I wasn't going to, it was about a retreat. I wasn't going to be able to do that in 2 days. Like, that's way too much. I shut the idea down, and then all possibility went out the door with it. And then she goes, I wonder. And that was it. And I go, you know what? That's a really good point. I wonder if I could change it, shift it, shave some stuff off of it, make it fit into 2 days. And that was it. So when we use the word curiosity, it really is for the people that have a little bit of a temperament like I do, I think, where it's very opinionated, kind of a dominating personality, very strong, very intense, very passionate, is to slow down. Even if you bark out an opinion and that you think that's the truth, is to go, you know what? I don't want that to be the truth. I don't want that to be the truth. Like, I don't want to do a women's retreat that's 3 days. I'd rather do it in 2 days if it's a virtual retreat. And so I wonder if I could get it to 2 days and make it just as impactful as if it was 3 days. It completely shifts the energy all the way. It completely shifts the energy and allows you to move to an elevated state of thinking from a negative where no, it's not going to work and that's dumb and your idea is dumb and I'm right and my opinion's right. It is immediately, I wonder. And it immediately elevates that thinking. So that is a really, really good thing. So let's just recap real quick. Dare to dream. It is using whatever your visualization technique is, but it's beginning to dream and look at things differently and ask yourself, like, if I didn't have this, what would I have? If I wasn't in this relationship it's not very healthy or I'm not liking it anymore, what would I have? If I didn't have this job that was whatever that I don't like, or working with these coworkers or not making the money I want, what would I have? And it's spending time in that space, thinking about, relishing in what it is you do want. Because we spend so much time. I was in the store the other day, 2 cashiers, like everything's self-checkout now. So I'm checking out, scanning my stuff, and they're behind me, 2 cashiers, and they're talking about jewelry. And it was kind of an older lady and a younger lady, and they're standing next to each other. And she's just like, yeah, she goes, I buy this jewelry and it's so expensive and I like the way it looks, but I cannot wear sterling silver. It just like makes my ears melt or whatever she was saying. And I'm like allergic to it, whatever. And the other girl's like, yeah, she goes, when I buy gold, that does the same thing to me. I just can't wear it, but I really do want it. This went on for a long time where they're not listening or engaging with each other. They're just, this one's sharing a complaint, then this one shared a complaint, and then this one shared a complaint. And it teeter-tottered for a couple of minutes, so like while I was checking out. And I'm like, you guys aren't even listening to each other. Like, all you're doing is one-upping each other on whose complaint is worse. Well, yeah, it makes my ears turn all black and I get hives. Yeah, well, gold makes my lip fall off. And oh, you know what? When I wear a silver bracelet, my arm falls off. You know what? When I wore a gold belt one time, I cut myself in half. I mean, it was just like this conversation that I'm like listening to people talking, and none of them are positive. None of them. None of the conversations around are positive. And then I wonder, this is why our world is like it is, because every single one of us has conversations that connects us with others through complaining. I'm like, let's start shifting that. So when you want your own world to start shifting, so when I go out and I'm in public and I'm starting to talk to somebody and I'll say something like, I said, how's your day? And they're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, and they give me some complaint. And I said, do you like working here? And they're like, yeah, I do. I've been here for 12 years and I really like it. I like the people. So tell me about that. And she was like, well, and she can't even say anything because we're so accustomed to complaining. So I encourage you and I invite you and I highly recommend that you begin shifting your language. When we shift our language and we do something a little bit different, we say things a little bit different, we begin to open the door differently. We open a different door. When there's no names for anybody in this movie, in the Polar Express, but when the boy is talking with Tom Hanks, who's the conductor, and he's just like, I was up on the train and it's just really weird. I'm having this experience and there's this guy up there and he's like boiling his socks, and then Tom Hanks is like, no matter what, no matter where I was on this train, no matter what was going on in my life, I never fell off. And that's us. This is our life. We have all these different experiences throughout our whole entire life, but life is unfolding in front of us. And this brings me to my last point, and it is about figuring out the unfoldment. Sometimes we need to sit in these emotions, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're sitting in them because of what we're saying and doing. And we need to shift that. That is up to us to be elevating ourselves. And then once we get into this higher vibrational frequency, then the universe can communicate with us because we're on a low frequency. And the universe is like, I'm trying, but you can't see it. You can't see the synchronicities that I'm putting in front of you. You walked right past another opportunity and you missed it. But once we can let go of the control and we can, here's number 4, surrender. When we can surrender to the forcing, the kinking the hose, the choking the chicken, the control, the need to control, we're going to get into the flow. You can't control the river, but you can aim in the right direction. You can't control the flow of the energy, but at least you can aim your mind in the right direction. Tune in to the right frequency. And we do that by daring to dream, allowing ourselves to look at things a little different way. Then cultivating a practice of gratitude is thinking about, talking about, sharing with others the things that you're grateful for. Then being curious. Curiosity is such a huge energy raiser that it just really allows you to move into this higher elevated state simply by doing that, by being curious. I wonder what the conversation is going to be. I wonder what my day at work is going to be. I wonder. And when you're in that state, you're opening the doors for the universe to show you something different versus, I really hate my job. Today's going to suck. And the universe goes, okay, I was going to put something else on your plate, but since you said it was going to suck, right? I wonder. That's a good one. That's a big one. That's a big, big, powerful one. And surrender. I'm going to just kind of let go for a minute. I'm just going to feel what it feels like to get into the river of flow, the river of life, and aim my inner tube or my kayak downstream, downriver, in the current, in the flow. This is what we do when we create this balance. When the train is flipping and flopping across the frozen river and the frozen tundra and everybody is hanging on to the railing and flapping around like they're going to fall off the train. And then the train just picks up the tracks at the other side and goes up the mountain. And we're safe and sound. You're on this planet. You're here having this human experience. But the bigger, broader part of you is the spiritual existence. It is time. It is time, no matter where you are in your life, if your life is terrible, if it's got, major need for some help, whatever. Everybody is working on something. Begin your spiritual practice. Start moving into the space of possibility that things can shift for you, and they can shift drastically. Now, I'm going to end with the quote I've already said 6 times is, you can't control the river, but you can aim in the right direction. Hey, thanks for listening. Your support means the world to me, and I'm truly grateful to have you on this journey of personal growth and exploration. If you've ever felt motivated or uplifted or gained valuable insight from my podcast, you now have an opportunity to show your appreciation. If you'd like to buy me a coffee or a chai tea as a token of support, you can do so through the link in the podcast show notes. Remember, your support goes beyond just a chai tea. It fuels my passion and drive to continue growing with you, making the world a better place and elevating all of humanity one episode at a time. Thank you again for being a valued listener.